and saw the gun and read through the diaries, Sirhan, and looked at all the evidence of this case. We took this to a whole nother level of consideration.
Governor Newsom yesterday morning, just hours before he blocked the release of Sirhan Sirhan, the man convicted of killing Senator Robert Kennedy in Southern California back in 1968. It was Sirhan's 16th appearance before the California State Parole Board. He is now 77 years old and has spent 53 years behind bars. Joining me now is Chris Kennedy, is the son of the late senator, and we want to thank you so much for your time, Mr. Kennedy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you for having me.
Out of the gate, what is your reaction, and was there any doubt in your mind or your family's mind?
Our reaction, I think, is one of great relief, and I think we owe a great debt of gratitude to the governor and the governor's team for the diligence with which they approach their decision. So we're very appreciative. As to whether or not there was doubt, there really hasn't been doubt. Over the last 50 years, there have been 15 parole hearings that Sirhan has been party to, and he's performed poorly in all of them. And we really didn't think there was risk. And then this summer, we were shocked and surprised by the fact that there was a recommendation from the two-member panel to release him. I think the governor has done the right thing.
Your father was all about social justice and giving a voice to those that had none. What do you think his reaction would have been?
I think he has many legacies, and the two that you identify are critical among them, but so is the dedication to the rule of law. He was many things, a senator, but he was also Attorney General of the United States, and he brought to the AG's office some of the brightest minds from around the country to work on civil rights, and they brought those lawsuits that changed this country for millions and millions of people. That dedication to the rule of law is what is so great about this decision, because the governor grounded his decision not in somebody he admired, but in the legacy that he admired, which was that legacy that law matters and we should live up to it.
In your family's eyes, do you believe Sirhan Sirhan should ever be paroled?
I don't think that there should be a never on parole issues, but I would say this: he has, if you combine the magnitude of the crime and his rehabilitation in jail, he has he created a heinous crime, and he has done very, very little to rehabilitate himself. He's never taken responsibility, or he does not take responsibility for the crime. And he's made no attempt to create a sense of empathy for his victims, to show remorse. And without those two things, you can't have the personal insight that allows you to grow as a human being to stop you from ever doing that again. He's a convicted murderer, and he remains that. And until he grows as a human being, we can't let him out in the streets of Pasadena.
You were just a young boy back then, not even 5 years of age when your dad passed in 1968. Tell us something about your dad that you remember as a young boy.
You know, one of the things that is hardest about that event for me, which was the fact that just 2 days earlier, we had so much fun together at Disneyland. And I went from doing some of the most fun things I'd ever done in my entire life to living through the horror tragedy of his death. My earliest memories are watching my sister cry uncontrollably at Arlington Cemetery. I could not process what was going on. I did not understand why she was crying. I did not understand that. But I remember it as clearly as it happened yesterday or earlier today. And those are disturbing memories. We're all the victims in this one. And I'm not talking about just the Kennedy family, but our country suffered as well. Suffered greatly.
I remember the day I was in third grade, and I was 4 when JFK, we lost your uncle as well. I'm curious, if your dad was alive right now, he would be 96. What do you think he would say about our world today? Have we made progress, taken a step back? What do you think your father would say?
I think my father was, deeply affected by his brother's murder, his brother's assassination, and yet he continued to try to lead the country that he loved. And I think the notion of political violence was probably the most disturbing thing that he came up against. Obviously, he battled the mafia and gangsters, but the idea of political violence was in a very limited sense in America in the 1960s. I mean, there were these great assassinations and horrible events, but they were considered so abnormal and so out of the norm that I guess we got comfort in knowing that we all believed they were wrong. And now we live in a country where millions of people think that violence is an acceptable means to a political end. And that would deeply, deeply disturb my father. And actually, there's almost no one speaking out against that who's an elected official. I know you all do a great job in the press talking about political violence, but who are the elected officials who are standing up to it? And Gavin Newsom did that this week by saying that this was an important crime, a different level of crime in the United States, and he is the first elected official to stand up to violence in the United States for political means.
What was your mother's reaction?
My mother is deeply, deeply appreciative of what the governor has done, and I think she's a woman of great faith, and I don't believe she ever thought there would be a different outcome. She has incredible faith and confidence in that faith, a daily communicant and someone who thinks that the world will end right. And that's a beautiful thing to grow up with.
And a perfect way to say thank you for your time. Mr. Kennedy, Chris Kennedy, the son of RFK, thank you so much. And we really appreciate you sharing your heart and some of the memories of your father as well. All the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.